Hello and welcome to Riffle, Shuffle, and Roll. My name is Mark, and today I am going to give you an in-depth look at the Rider-Waite Tarot playing card deck. So this is the 78 card tarot deck in playing card form, and I'm going to do a side-by-side comparison with the Fournier French tarot deck. Both of these decks can be used for playing tarot games. The Rider-Waite obviously has its roots in divination, and it can be used for that as well. I will have links in the description for these products on Amazon US, just so they're easier to find. Fournier is not currently available, but there is another French tarot deck that essentially looks the same, not made by Fournier, that is available. And I do have a video for how to play Trogu, which is a tarot card game. So I'll link to that down below as well. All right, enough jibber jabber. Let's get into these cards. Now I'm going to be talking about these two decks from the perspective of someone who plays games with them. Obviously, if you're familiar at all with divination using a tarot deck, you can see that the Fournier French deck is not going to be useful for that purpose. Not in the same way that the Rider-Waite deck is used. Now, if you are interested in divination with a regular deck of playing cards, you can use your standard pips, the hearts, the diamonds, clubs, and spades. And Bicycle actually has a Gypsy Witch fortune telling deck. So this is an older design. Bicycle has a copy of it as well as US Game Systems, and they're both published a little differently. I do have a video featuring this deck, talking about it, showing you the details and how to do fortune telling with this deck. So I'll link to that in the description. You can check it out if you're interested. But for now, let's focus on these two decks from a card player's perspective. Both of these decks cost about the same. Unfortunately, the Fournier French deck is really hard to come by on Amazon US. Rider-Waite is available at the time of making this video. It is available on Amazon US. And the Fournier decks come and go. Right now, there is a third-party French tarot deck that by a company I've never heard of, available for about the same price. Both of these run around 20 bucks. And you can pick that up on Amazon now. Unfortunately, it is not as nice of a package as the Fournier deck, but these decks are hard to come by. So the Rider-Waite deck comes in a two-piece box, and everything fits quite nicely in that box. You get a little instruction booklet for how to use the cards, their meanings. There are no illustrations or anything in the booklet. Now, this is an abbreviated guide. There are much thicker guides, more in-depth detail available, but this is what comes in the box. With the Rider-Waite, the suits are different. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take you through these cards, and if there's anything you want to fast forward to in the video, I have timestamps in the description to kind of help you move along. So if you're just wanting to see the Trump suits or anything like that, head down to the description to find those timestamps. For now, though, we are going to buzz through these cards. So the first suit is Wands. And I like the pictures. The one thing I like about the Rider-Waite is it's not very macabre. You know, it's elegant. I don't think it's too off-putting. I like the pictures. Very classic. So we have the Ace of Wands, the 2, I need the Sage number, the 4. You can see that on the artwork they have the rank in the traditional spot, and that's what makes true sized tarot cards, the bigger cards used for divination, that's what makes them tricky to play games with. You really need the ranking and the suit in the corner in order to play games easily. For divination, when you're just laying the cards out on the table, it's easy to see that face. Every card is unique. That is something I love. So in this deck, nails it. So in other decks, the wands, I'm guessing, would be batons or clubs. Here we have the royal court. Okay, so we have the Jack and the Queen of Wands, the King of Wands, Now, for those of you who are familiar with French tarot, you might be asking, where is the knight or the valet? Well, the Rider-Waite comes with 4 jokers that double as the knight card. So here is a joker, but it is also the Knight of Wands. And the knight fits between the jack and the queen. So if you were playing a game of tarot, your ranking would be like that. And the way to remember that is the jack, or the page of wands, is on the ground looking up at the Knight of Wands. So the knight is elevated. It's higher ranked than the jack. Now we're moving on to the sword suit. The deuce of swords. Five. Again, I think these are beautiful cards. And because they're not off-putting, I think they're perfectly fine to play with. I think we live in an era where a lot of people, not everybody, aren't going to be put off by the idea of playing with cards that were or can be used for divination. I kind of think we're past that culturally. Now, I'm not speaking for everybody. I know some people in my family that would not particularly care to play with these, but it would be hard for them not to appreciate the beauty of the card. And then here is the Knight of Swords. And now we're into the cups. The Ace of Cups. The 3. I wonder if that's the 3 sisters, which is kind of cool. I like the autumn imagery, kind of the harvest. We've got the pumpkin down here. 4 of Cups. You know, and I've never read what the meaning of each card is, but I think it'd be kind of fun to sit down, read the summary paragraph alongside each of the pictures, and kind of see what the story is. See what the imagery tells me. What does it mean with that little guiding paragraph? Oh, yep, 8 of Cups, 9 of Cups. 10 of Cups. That's fun. Page, the Queen, King, then the Knight, the Knight of Cups, and then on to our final and then on to our final suit. In regards to the 4 suits, we still got Trump to go through, but we got the Ace of Pentacles here. The Pentacle suit would also be the coins in some decks. Wonder, maybe the bells, German suited deck. So you could definitely play some Scopa with this deck and just count the pentacles as coins. Get that 7 of coins out there. Right here. You could play Scopa with any deck numbered 1 through 10. And of coins, or pentacles, sorry. The page, queen, and the king. And of course, the knight. Cool. Okay, let's take a look at the trump suit now. The Fournier deck won't take nearly as long to go through because the face cards are cool. They're different, and the trump suit's different. All right, we've got the one of trumps, the magician. 2, the high priestess. You'll notice that the trump suit pip and symbol is all 4 of the symbols. So we've got pentacles, swords, wands, and cups right there. Empress. The emperor. The hierophant. The lovers. The chariot. Strength. The hermit. That's a cool card. I like that. It's very wintry. That snow. Got kind of a dead tree back here. The distance. The wheel of fortune. Justice. The hanged man. Death. Temperance. The devil. The tower. The star. The moon. The sun. Judgment. The world. And the fool. So when considering tarot games usually have a larger hand size, 15, 17 cards. They do use a smaller size on the corner indices. So like here's a hand of 17. If you had to splay that, it's really not too bad of a splay. You can see enough to get the gist. Actually, you can see almost the entire number. So not too bad of a splay. Now, I think some tarot games, depending on player count, you might get a bigger hand size than this even. But generally, I think that's going to work. And the way, when you're playing games, you're not always sitting there with your cards splayed out anyways. And you're going to have your cards positioned possibly where you want them to be, and you'll know where they are. So anyways, they did a good job with the corner indices to allow for a nice tight splay. And that is all of the Rider-Waite. So let's go ahead and move on to the Fournier French deck. Again, the regular suits, there's not a whole lot going on with them. So I'll just buzz straight ahead. Now you'll see that the corner indices on these is also pretty small. And because of the height of the card, the display is really nice. So let's go ahead and do the display first just to show you. I'll grab, let's see, 13 plus 4 is 17. So that should be 17 cards. That might actually be 18. So let's go ahead. The best. I don't have a lot of practice holding these. So the display, yeah, I'm a little clumsier with these. But display is going to be just a little wider, which is interesting. Not quite as elegant, but I'm not used to holding these taller cards. But in theory, you should be able to hold more cards with a taller profile on the card. So I don't think that's as wide of a splay. I'm just not used to holding this size. But with a little practice, you should be able to really load up your hand. Yeah, look at that. So that's pretty cool. Let's go ahead and fast forward to the royal cards here. So in the French deck, you've got the valet, which is essentially your jack, and then the cavalier, which is your knight. See the horse? So the imagery is still there. The dame or the queen, and then the roi or the king for each suit. And I really like the design on these. The valet of hearts or the jack. King, these are a little out of order, sorry. Oh, you are out of place, Mr. King. So we have our valet, the cavalier, dame, the king. We got our branding on the one or ace of clubs instead of ace of spades, which is interesting. Valet of clubs, the cavalier, the dame, king, the roi, finally the diamond suit, the valet, the cavalier, the dame, the king. Now, one thing I will say about the Rider-Waite deck is that I like that they put Joker in the corner on the knights, because think about the target audience here. Sure, the divination crowd is going to like these, maybe. But people who play just card games, American card games, are going to be used to a Joker, not a knight. So for them, the knight is secondary. Now, if you're going into tarot games, it's nice to have the knight. Might be a little bit of a nuisance to have Joker there in the corner instead of knight, but I think they chose well with that. And I like that there are 4 Jokers in this deck. Most decks only come with 2, most bicycle decks, and sometimes 3, depending on who publishes it or who designed it. And I think more Jokers the better. With the Fournier deck, if you want to play with Jokers, you either have to use the Fool, which reminds me, I need to go through the Trump suit, or you are going to have to use a Trump card, or one of the or you're going to have to take the Cavaliers out and use those as Jokers, and then they're not marked as Jokers. So as an American card player, you are remembering that the card is a Joker, but not marked as such. And that's like a tiny nitpick. I don't think that's that big of a deal, but it is something I wanted to point out. Now, the French Tarot Trump suit, I think, is beautiful. The only thing I would change for playability is the size of the corner indices. You've lost any ability to condense that splay. If you want to be able to see the number, you've got to move it almost twice as far, even to just see a hint of the number. So that part is interesting. If the whole point of this is truly playing the game, then to see your Trump suit, you really have to open up your hand. I'm sure there's reasoning behind that, maybe more than just tradition, but each Trump card comes with dual images that are similar to each other. And I think that's pretty cool. So up here we've got, and it's all sort of like French life among the court, among the commoners. But here we've got like a clown with a gentleman and another clown over here, or a jester here in the curtains. And then on the reverse side, we have a clown, jester, with another one right here, and then a lady being entertained. For the 2 of trumps, girls playing. The flip side, boys playing. For 3, we have gentlemen in the park, ladies in the park. And on the flip side, with the ladies going for a walk. And on the flip side, we have, seems like, ladies crossing the bridge. Couple gentlemen talking at the table for the Four of Trumps. Then caretaker and her children, possibly the mother, sitting and relaxing. Very nice. For the Five, we have some children talking to an elderly gentleman. I like to imagine he's telling them stories or telling them to leave him alone so he can nap. Then up here we've got children at their mother's feet, like they're knitting or sewing. Recreational activities, maybe she's telling them a story. For the Six of Trumps, we have like men working out in the field. Lady with the basket on the flip side. A couple ladies sitting at the table, drinking tea. Talking about how hard their husbands are working in the field, I imagine. Here we've got, looks like people relaxing on break and drinking, eating eggs. On the flip side, relaxing in the living space. I think now's a good time to stop with my picture narration. To let them speak for themselves. But yeah, an absolutely awesome, gorgeous deck in its own right. A very different aesthetic than the Rider-Waite, obviously. Twelve of Trumps. I like to use these cards to play regular old American card games. My wife and I have played our fair share of gin using these. We've played other rummy games. That seems to be our go-to for playing card games is rummy. He's not a fan of trick takers. And we just take the cards out we don't need. We remove the trump suit. We remove the cavaliers and play with the good old 52. And these cards are a joy to play with. Tactilely, they're just a different feel. They are a little different to shuffle. You got to get used to that narrower profile. They are. It's like holding a bridge deck. It's like holding a bridge size card, just a little longer. Fun to see like the seasons changing. Not consistently. Oop, I flipped that one a little fast. Here we're bowling, it looks like. Here we're playing cards. And you can see in the picture they're taller cards, so they're probably playing tarot. French tarot. Here we've got a little bit of the royal court life on the 21 of Trumps. Military men with the Chester hiding in the background. And the Fool. Also out of this box, you are going to get a guide to play tarot, but it is in French, so be aware of that. A reference card for scoring tarot, which is also in French. And then sort of a brand card. It's a king with the Fournier logo here. You could use as a replacement. And here's the back of the card. And here's the back of the Rider-Waite. I think it's worth having both of these decks in your collection to play according to your mood. The box for the Fournier deck is just a tuck case, and there is a little bit of room in the box once you have all the cards in there. Enough for a little notepad and pencil if you wanted to keep score and have a way to keep score with you. And that is a look at these two decks, the Rider-Waite playing card deck and the Fournier French Tarot playing card deck. So again, I think there's good enough reason to own both of them. I think they're both beautiful decks and they both have their own place and time for when to use them. Depending on what games you want to play, what kind of conversations you might want to start at the game table, you could bust either of these out and I think you'll have a nice time. They're both very well produced decks. I guess I just can't speak highly enough about them. I suggest getting them both. If you're into collecting playing cards, that's a good enough reason to have both of these as an example of different decks in your collection. If you're into tarot card games, again, both of these are good to have. And I guess I'm gushing a little bit now, but yeah, I love these decks. So again, if you want to check out the Gypsy Witch deck, I have a link down in the description for that. You can watch that video. I give you a nice in-depth look of those cards and how to use them. And if you found this video helpful, be sure to let me know by subscribing, ringing the bell, giving this video a thumbs up, and leaving a comment down below. If you have any questions about these decks or about tarot games, or if you have any other decks you would like to see featured on the channel, let me know down in the comments. I've got a playlist of other card games for you right here. And if you would like to check out games of my design, you can head over to riffleshuffleandroll.com. I've got a growing library of games that I myself have made and tested with many other people. It's been a really fun thing diving into game design using nothing but a standard 52 card deck and sometimes dice. All right, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and keep on playing.